There's another humongous point. And the ESPN base that is, with Rachel Nichols on the jump, well, here's what they broke yesterday.
Commissioner Adam Silver and the Players Association are in deep talks about ending the one and done rule. Furthermore, the league is expected to propose a plan for, quote, starting relationships with elite teenagers while they are in high school, providing skills to help them develop both on and off the court.
What we should remember is that the CBA, which you're going to see right here, which was renegotiated in 2005, if you look towards the bottom, the minimum age requirement has been increased from 18 to 19 years. US players must be at least 1 year removed from high school and 19 years of age. Who was the catalyst? David Stern. Deputy Commissioner, Adam Silver. And Myron Metcalf went on the age requirement, which I thought was very well done. Forced high school players to choose. Attempt to navigate the complex terrain of the European pro circuit. Enter the D League for a 5-figure salary. Or go to college. Now, of course, the G League as well. So it seems like they were set up to fail, right? It seems like the college players were set up to fail. And also, I'm not having their back. But the reason that you're seeing stuff like this via the Washington Post is because of the system that is. So let's try to just set the record straight. You are a 17, 18-year-old kid. All you want to do is help out your family. But now the powers that be are saying, hey man, you can't get your 7-figure salary. You can't help out your parents to get out of a rough situation. You can't help out your family to get out of a rough situation. What you need to do is go to a place that you don't give a damn about in order to, it seems, make a profit for the school, make a profit for the corrupt institution that is the NCAA, and then you get to go. You know what happens? Injuries, loss of dollars, loss of profit, loss of endorsements. You don't get paid immediately. You don't get to hone your skills that much more immediately. If we could skip to B4, here's what Ben Simmons said about this entire matter and how it just really didn't make sense to the uninterrupted.
Obviously, NCAA, if they didn't have the stars coming through, then people wouldn't be watching. I think I would have learned a lot more being around professional athletes. Looking at it now, I don't even really know what I learned financially or just being a person at LSU. I think I've learned a lot more with this whole year, being in Philly and being a pro.
Did they have your jerseys like in the bookstore?
Jersey everywhere. They had billboards. Before I got there, they had it's like a saying said 25 is coming. So they couldn't put your name there, but they can put your number. And everybody knew I was number 25, so.
Was the billboard like on campus?
All around Louisiana. It's dirty business.
Yeah.
So you just had to, I mean, you had to put up with it.
So even Ben Simmons, who admitted, hey, I'm going here for basketball. I'm going here because I have to. There's no way around it. So I'm going to go to LSU. I'm not going to go to class second semester because it doesn't really matter. And I agree with him. Because if you want to go pursue your dreams, you shouldn't have anybody hinder that, especially an organization like the NCAA. So that's the reason, back to the Washington Post, why you're having payments like this. Miles Bridges, whose mother may have received $400. Tom Izzo said in a statement, yada, yada, yada. Benny Boatwright, Eric Davis Jr., Brian Bowen, Wendell Carter. The list goes on and on as well. Markelle Fultz is in there. Diamond Stone is in there. Dennis Smith Jr. is in there as well. But what we should remember is that this goes way back in time to when the NCAA even came to be with Harvard. When Harvard took on Yale in a boat race, it was already corrupted. Speaking of the institutions and also the athletes that were in these boat races were met on a train and they were told, hey, you win, we're gonna pay the bills. On top of that, going a little bit further, Spencer Haywood signed with the ABA, won Rookie of the Year, then signed with Seattle, RIP, for 6 years, $1.5 million, not even 4 years removed. And the NBA had a deal in place back then, which was, hey, you're not allowed to do that. He actually went to the Supreme Court and won. So this has been something that college students have been fighting since the 70s, really. On top of that, in the 2011 lockout, reform of the age minimum was one of the items both sides wanted to tackle. The NBA wanted to increase the minimum beyond 1 year. The players union wanted the age minimum repealed. Neither side would budge in 2011. Revenue sharing between teams and players was a much bigger issue, and the parties agreed to deal with it after the overall deal was reached. They didn't. The age minimum hasn't been touched since. And then on top of that, David Stern issued this statement that ESPN spit out on might have been Cold Pizza at this time, Cold Pizza / First Take. So here is what ESPN read of David Stern's statement in 2011.
That we would love to add a year, meaning that players would have to wait 2 before they come in. But that's not something that the Players Association has been willing to agree to. Our rule is that they won't be eligible for the draft until they're 19. This is not a social program. This is a business rule for us. The NFL has a rule which requires 3 years of college.
So he went a little bit further, and I'm sorry that I cut it off there, but he was speaking to the NFL requiring 3 years. Totally different sport. Not comparable. Mike Krzyzewski tried to BS us. What it has produced is one-and-done kids who are not going pro. The amount of transfers we have in basketball, they're 450. Kids don't stick around. They want to pick the school. They want instant gratification. You know who else does, Mike? Your fellow head coaches in college basketball and college football, because you want instant gratification when you guys start losing or when a better opportunity arises. Coaches have also expressed concerns about possible academic ramifications. That is false. If anybody transfers or if they leave prematurely, not rather prematurely, if they leave for the draft, none of the academics is penalized at all. And then there's John Calipari going up there and defending the NCAA.
It's a gap year.
Yeah.
You know, I've heard this one. You know, these kids aren't prepared. Well, you're drafting them at 19 and 18 years old. 19 years old, I should say, and 20. You say my kids aren't prepared? We've had 19 lottery picks. Guess what? They're all getting to second and third contracts. So you're saying my kids aren't prepared? My kids won the Community Assist Award. John Wall, Anthony Davis, DeMarcus Cousins getting involved. You're telling me my kids aren't involved? One, kids should be able to go out of high school.
Yes.
But how do we do that without devaluing education? Now, I'm going to give you some names. Sebastian Telfair, Jeremy Tyler, Leon Smith, Robert Swift, Jonathan Bender, Kwame Brown. Here's my thing. Players Association needs to be involved in this.
All right, there's a lot to get to. Firstly, we can go tick for tack all day. He wants to go with high school players. Sure, I'll go with college players. Joe Smith, remember him? #1 overall pick, bad. Michael Olowokandi, bad as well. The following draft. You remember Greg Oden? Well, he didn't have an incredible career. Anthony Bennett, there's certainly that one as well. And also, what Calipari was saying, there's a Sheem Thabit, 2nd overall. What Calipari, and there's Anthony Bennett. What Calipari was saying was, oh, well, it's not me. It can't be my kid. How could it possibly be my kids? Here's what I produced. Hey, John, update for you. Remember Anthony Davis? He was actually the #1 recruit coming out of high school. He didn't need your help. John Wall, the #1 recruit coming out of high school. He didn't need your help as well. And then on top of that, what happened at UMass? Well, here's what happened. Marcus Camby admitted that he got gifts. John Calipari, whoa, it wasn't me. It wasn't my fault. The Boston Globe in a fine series in the 90s found that UMass most prominent star, Marcus Camby, academic probation. Calipari battled to ensure that his sports department, rather than the university, maintained control of player academics, except he didn't. And then on top of that, Coach Calipari could have created a great academic program, but he ruined it, said one person to the New York Times. So then what happened once that all came tumbling down? Well, he pulled a Pete Carroll and he actually went to the New Jersey Nets and said, see ya. He went back to Memphis. That entire season was stripped. And now we get back to this. The NBA is focusing on getting involved in 2 important periods in which they currently have minimal contact with prospects. High school years and the time between high school graduation and when a young player is physically and emotionally ready to join the NBA. Here's the problem with this. How do you know when they're emotionally? How do you know when they're physically? Do you remember what LeBron James looked like when he was going into the NBA? He was thin as a rail. So now, what exactly are the qualifications? There's some murky water here, but here's where I'll finish. Adam Silver is doing the right thing by now starting the conversation. The antithesis of that stupid-ass Pepsi commercial. He's starting the conversation. It's the right thing to do, and finally, we're getting there.